What's up everyone, welcome to Rhinofeed. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kailh commemorative keyboard. This is more of a marketing showpiece, I would say. It's going to be very difficult to get your hands on this keyboard. You will have to contact Kailh directly, probably via email. But they just sent out to me to feature their box switches, and they also wanted me to talk about their new low profile switches. So I'll break it down for you at the end of the review, because they have quite a few different low profile switches. They give you some little documentation here, which is probably poorly translated. They give you some key pullers. They give you the choice of a plastic one or a metal one, so that's kind of nice. And they also give you a braided cable. No big deal. So I'll just go over the keyboard real quick. I have used this for about a month, but I just wrapped up the cord all neatly. So anyway, the cord, since I'm talking about that, it's 1.8 meters. It's a braided cable, and it's gold plated, which, you know, that is a huge marketing selling point. The bottom is plastic, so it's got the 4 rubber feet, but that's only if you put the flip-out feet on. So there's 2 rubber feet on the front, and then there's 2 additional rubber feet on the flip-out feet, and there are actually 2 adjustment to the flip-out feet. So if you want to change the height, either add a ½ inch or add an inch, you're good to go there. There's no cable rerouting or anything on the bottom of this case. It can only go out through the center if that's something that's important to you. Now, the top of the case is a anodized finish. It's a black aluminum plate, so that's all good. Of course, the switches, these are their box switches. This is definitely a marketing board because it's got box switch right here, it's got a serial number here, and then on the back it has their logo. So I don't really like any of that marketing stuff. I wouldn't necessarily use this as a daily board, just simply because that's all kind of cluttered. It doesn't look very good to me. But anyway, their switches. This one is the Box White, which is a clicky switch. The box switches, really the only thing that is different about them compared to cherry switches is the travel distance is just a little bit lower. 3.6 travel distance and 1.8 actuation instead of the traditional 4 and 2. So other than that, this box allows it to protect against dust and water. So it's IP56 rated. The keycaps, these were really weird because they're an inconsistent thickness. So if you measure the front of the keycap, you're at 1.07 millimeters. The back of the keycap is 0.78 millimeters. So the keycaps are pretty thin. I'm not a huge fan of them. However, I really love what they did with this dual tone. It's got white and a beige, which I think is pretty classic looking. I'm not a big fan of the font, but it's actually cool because the top of the keycap is a different color from the base of the keycap, and yet it's all kind of molded into one piece. So I've never seen that done before, and I think that's really cool. I'd like to see that in more keyboards because it's just kind of a unique look. A traditional thicker keycap, to give you an idea, so that was 1.07 at its thickest point. These keycaps, which I'm a bigger fan of, these are 1.5 millimeters. These are just a die sub PBT keycap. By the way, these are PBTs. The thickest keycap I own is 2.3 millimeters. It's from the Retroist keycap set. So this is absurdly thick. It's awesome, but it's very unique. You don't see a lot of keycaps like that. So 1.5 is pretty great. 0.7 on these keycaps, pretty thin. Not a huge fan. But I like the look. The overall dimensions of this case and keyboard, 17.25 by 6 by 1.5. So if you add the feet, like I said, there's 2 heights available. The tallest height is going to get you at 2.25, where the shorter height is going to get you at 1 3/8. So gives you some options. That's kind of cool. The weight, let me double check that. Pretty much 31 ounces, 880 grams. To keep it simple, it's a little bit under, but yeah, it's a good weight. As far as features on this keyboard, there's not a lot of them. There is full N key rollover, which you can swap with the tilde key here. There is volume adjustment at the top and a play button. Notably, there's no reverse or forward. It's not like full media control, and they even have open keys here that could have been used for that purpose, but they didn't do it. There's also a Windows key lock, and then everything else is backlighting. There's a lot of backlighting adjustment to this. One unique feature about this keyboard is it does have a nice LED strip along the perimeter of the keyboard that is RGB, and you can change the color to that as well. Now the switches, I actually really like these. I don't mind the lower travel distance from 4 to 3.6. And while I'm not a big fan of Cherry MX Blues or clicky switches in general, these are really light, less scratchy, a little bit smoother. These are all very, very technical terms, of course. But for me, I would definitely put box whites on any keyboard if you like Cherry MX Blues. I think it's a great alternative. So really, that's it for the keyboard. The keyboard itself is a decent build. It has really cool lighting effects. The keycaps are kind of your preference if you like them or not. Like I said, I don't like the font, but I think the overall thought behind it is cool, this dual tone look. Build quality is good. It has aluminum in there. Of course, I do like my steel plates better and my aluminum cases better. I like that match where it's an aluminum case and a steel plate. But overall, I think it's a decent keyboard if you can get your hands on one of them. Like I said, I don't know if I would use it every day just because of the marketing stuff on it. But, I mean, it is a good keyboard. So other than that, let's talk about their low profile switches. I gotta get my notes out for this because this is a little bit complicated. It's sad to say they never showed up in the box. They were gonna send me some to try out, but unfortunately not. So I'm just gonna go through their product lineup so you can check them out. To me, it seems like they're trying a few things and testing the market perhaps, because it seems like this lineup is a little weird to me, and I'll kind of explain things when I get further into it. But anyway, the first and most common switch you'll find, they're even available to purchase now, is the chocolate switches, or the PG1350s. These are the biggest of all of these switches. So they actually have 3 different varieties. They have the linear, tactile, or clicky version, and they have an actuation point of 1.5 with a travel distance of 3 millimeters. Actuation force of 50 grams, and then other than that, it's just a lower profile, smaller switch that you could probably use on a desktop keyboard. They have a mini chocolate switch, which is the PG1232. This one only comes in clicky, and it has an actuation point of 1.2 and total travel of 2.4. Again, the actuation force is 50 grams. This one does not make a lot of sense to me because there's already a clicky version of the PG1350. So, I mean, if I was them, I would try to simplify my product lineup, but I don't know. It's up to them, whatever. They also have the PG1442. This one you're going to find in the Plank Lite, which is coming out, I think, on Massshop at the moment. So, for instance, here's a Plank right now with standard switches and actually really tall keycaps. But the Plank Lite is going to be about half as thick as this because they're going to use thinner keycaps plus these PG1442s. So this switch comes in a clicky or linear version, has a actuation point of 1.4 millimeters, total travel of 2.7, and actuation force of 50 grams. This switch is a scissor switch, and what's really unique about it is it has a center light pipe. So because the scissor switch is around the perimeter, they were able to have a nice center light pipe for your RGB LED lighting. So it's going to be a really nice, even, uniform lighting. And I think this switch is really legit, and you could actually put this in laptops because it's so thin and so small. So the other switch they have is a PG1425. It's also very small. It's a scissor switch. It comes in clicky or tactile versions, has an actuation point of 1.5, total travel of 2.5, and a larger actuation force at 55 grams, which I thought was kind of interesting. But the problem with this switch is it doesn't have that unique light pipe design, so your RGB lighting isn't going to be quite as flashy. This would be another product lineup that I would probably cut if I were them, just to simplify the setup. I mean, it doesn't really have a place. The only benefit to this one is that it has a tactile version. I guess I would try to make a tactile version of the PG1442 versus making an entirely new switch. The downfall with all of these switches is you're going to have to use a special keycap for them. They have a 2-pin design instead of a regular cross stem design. So yes, unfortunately, all new keycap sets for these low profile switches. So anyway, guys, I hope this video was interesting. Again, thanks to Kailh for sending this keyboard out for review. Get me one of those developer boxes. I want to see those switches. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And as always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Do you recognize this desk? This beautiful, beautiful desk? It is so wonderful.